Okay, so this came today, decoupler. I've been meaning to fit a decoupler for a while. It's something I suppose I should have done when I put the van together, but money was flying out the door buying other bits and pieces, so I kind of like shied away from spending best part of £1,000 on getting hold of a decoupler and adding that to the mix. So anyway, I'm in a position now where I can afford to get one, and here it is. One other reason as well why I'm buying this at the moment is my front diff. It's the one part, or one of the few parts that I didn't refurb when I was putting the van together. And when it came off the donor, I just took it off and put it straight onto mine. And now it is very, very, very noisy. It whines quite a lot. I mean, it drove me mad. I took it to France, the van, not long ago, and it was quite wearing really at certain speeds. And also now the VC, the viscous coupling, is getting very tight. The other day, after a long run turning into a car park, it basically locked up. It's done it twice now. So I think now is the time to do this. Obviously, I need to rebuild the diff and get the VC refilled, but that's going to be a lot more money and time and effort as well, especially in terms of work. So I'll do that at some point in the future. But in the meantime, with a decoupler, it takes away some of them problems, and it gives me a nice. I suppose I've still got a nice tight VC if I need to do any off-road in the meantime, which would be at a lower speed anyway. Anyway, enough waffling. Let's have a look at this. So this came from Bernd Jäger. I think that's how you say it. But it comes from his web store. Obviously, it comes complete with the nose cone. There's €150 surcharge for that, which is obviously redeemable if or when you send your old one back to them. So yeah, let's have a look inside. Basically, it's a fairly simple affair, really. You can see right down the end, you've got there's a roller bearing, and you've got this sleeve. I'll try and show you that when the vacuum is applied, it pulls that forwards like that, and that will engage the decoupler to give you four-wheel drive. There's different. I've seen one thing I've noticed is there's different ways of doing this part with different decouplers that I've seen with some. This one comes with this piece here and a circlip as well, and I'm assuming what this does is this slides onto the shaft where there's like a lot of connecting piece, a connecting sleeve, and obviously so in engaged mode it locks onto the shaft wire with I've got a circlip in there as well, so that engages in there. So that would be when it's in fully engaged mode and you're in four-wheel drive, and when in the other, let's take that out there, and that's obviously when that slides back, is when that would just be sitting on the shaft is in there on that little pilot bearing and disengaged, so you wouldn't be driving the prop shaft. I should imagine that's how it works. Right, so what else did this come with? It comes with all these gubbins as well. You've got hopefully enough there to provide you with what you need to hook up to the vacuum system. Some silicone there for connections and the wire piece. You've also got your actual switching unit that goes in the centre console, in that console at the front, and the body for that. And you've got a funky little knob there as well to pull out and engage your decoupler. One other thing it comes with as well is it comes with this. It comes with which is slightly different to some of the kits I've seen advertised elsewhere. This one comes with a paper gasket. A lot of the others just say like about using silicone sealant. Funnily enough, my one actually leaks really badly. There's no paper gasket on mine, on my gearbox at the moment on this nose cone, and it really does. Well, I say it leaks badly. It leaks enough to cause a mess over a certain amount of time, and I'll probably lose about half a litre every 6 months or something like that. So it's a very small leak, but it's a pain in the backside either way. So yeah, that's that. What else to talk about before I actually get on? Well, what I'm going to do in terms of actually getting on with the job, I've looked at a few different ways of doing it, and obviously the gearbox out would be one, but I think I can just do this by dropping down the rear end of the gearbox, disconnecting the prop bash bars, the prop, a few other little bits and pieces, just to get the tail end or the nose end down of the gearbox, and that'll give me access to all around here, and I'll be able to slide the old one off and slide the new one on. I've got to obviously take off this doesn't come with the flange for the prop shaft, so I've got to take the old flange off of mine and refit this. I think it's 160 Newton meters. I can't remember the torque. I've got it in the workshop manual anyway. And yeah, that will be that. The only other thing that I think I might have a problem with is because of that leak I just told you about. I actually, a long time ago, I nipped up these. I tried all the bolts, thought they might be loose or something like that, and I do seem to remember sort of that one of them was it didn't actually tighten up. I think I might have sort of a semi-strip thread in there, so I might even have to helicoil if that does turn out to be that nose cone bolt that I was trying to do up. We'll see. Hopefully not, but probably will be. What else to talk about? No, I don't think the instructions come in German, which is to my shame, I don't speak or read German very well. So one of the things I'm just been doing is I've actually been typing that in. The sentence by sentence into Google Translate to just get a gist of what that says, and that does broadly tell me that you basically just unbolt it, take out the connecting sleeve for the old one, slide this one on, fit it with a circlip, and yeah, that's it basically. I haven't got right to the end of the instructions, but that just goes on to routing the vacuum hose and sorting all that out. So, like I say, it looks like a fairly simple installation. Right, I've started work on it now. I've dropped off the this light's a bit limited down here. Apologies. I've taken dropped the prop shaft off. That's much easier with a slip joint prop, nice and simple. I've also taken off the nut for the flange there. I made a little tool up for that, basically a piece of angle iron with two holes for two nuts, just to wedge it up against one of the bash bars to stop it from rotating, and I've loosened off the nut there. I did start pulling it off, but it started leaking because I haven't drained the oil out. It started leaking out oil, so I've pushed it back on for the time being. What else have I done? I've obviously dropped the bash bars down now, and I'm just about to disengage the gear linkage, and then I will lower the gearbox by just slacking it off. Sorry, not slacking it off, by taking off these nuts on either side of that, and it should all come down after that. And then I can start. Then I'm just going to drain the. I'll take the fill plug out, and then I shall drain the oil straight into a bucket when I crack the end of this off and let it drain out through there. Because this end's lower anyway, so I'll get more oil out. And then I'll do up the front there, and it's all going to come out when I take that tail end off anyway. So I might as well do it from there first. One other thing I did yesterday, I fitted the vacuum control lines, and they're routed all the way up to the front. They go up to the front of the dash, where I've also routed them into the console on the dashboard. Right, I'm going to get on with this now, see if I can make some progress. Okay, so now I have disconnected the prop shaft, taken off the, as I said earlier on, the nut for the flange there, the drive flange. Remember, if you do this, don't take that off while it's still full of oil, because it will start leaking oil out. And also I have taken off the bash bars, dropped the gear linkage down, as you can see there, and I've now, whilst it was up on the jack, I have disconnected both of the gearbox mounts, and also before that I took off the earth strap, which is round there on the back of the nose cone, and then lowered it down, and I have now just got enough space, I believe, to get in amongst it and undo all the bolts for the nose cone, and then I'll crack it off. This is now the low point of the engine of the gearbox, so I need to stick a bowl underneath because I haven't taken the oil out yet. The only reason I didn't do that is because it was I just want to drain it all out in one go. Even as the van was sitting, the front drain plug was higher than the back end of the van, so it's easy just to do this oil drain once. So I'll stick a bowl underneath there. First things first, I'll loosen the fill plug, but I know it will come undone, but it makes good it's good practice to do so. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to attempt to crack off the nose cone and drain it of the oil. Righto, so that's the you can see now I've taken the bolts off and I've just cracked it off, and I'm just gradually draining the oil out. Next thing I'll do is I'll pull the nose cone off of the gearbox, and we'll have a little look inside. Right, so let's try and get focused. I've just taken it off. You can see there it is there. That's the connecting sleeve. This thing here that joins the shaft, the output shaft, to, I don't even know if I showed you that properly then. This is a connecting sleeve that's inside there that connects the output shaft in the nose cone to this shaft here in the gearbox, and this is the one that I have to slide that gear onto, and there should be a recess here, I believe, where I'll be fitting the circlip onto there. So a couple of things to do now. I'm just going to let this continue to drain for a little while or so. Then I'm going to have to clean up the mating face for the gasket, and I've got to prep up the decoupler nose cone. I'll put on the drive shaft flange, just hand tight for the moment, and or the prop shaft flange, and yeah, then we'll crack on. So anyway, I'm going to leave this now to drain off. Let's have a little sneaky peek inside there. Not it's going to really tell me much by anyone, but there you go. So let this oil drain, and then I'll get on with the job. Sorry, this is all a bit down and dirty, but it's the only way I can really do this at the moment. But you get the gist of the thing. Basically, it's quite simple. Yeah, it is what it is. What I've shown you really so far, all being well. Right, I'll see you again in a little while. So while I've got this one off, and this one's just been prepped to go back in or to go on, I'll just talk again about how this thing works. So basically, this is the old one. What you've got is you've got like a connecting sleeve here, which connects the output shaft in the nose cone to the output shaft in the gearbox there. So they're just basically joined together. What happens here in this one is you have, that's in disengage mode. So basically, if you apply vacuum to that side, the black side of the actuator, that pulls that down and that will disengage. If you apply vacuum to that side, what will happen is this will rise like that, and this is attached to the same place where that was attached, basically on the output shaft inside the gearbox, and that joins onto that, and when it's connected you've got your four-wheel drive. That's attached by a circlip onto that shaft. You can also see, it's worth noting I suppose, that the teeth on that are little pointed ones, and as they are on that engagement slide as well. I'm assuming that is to make them engage a lot easier, synchronise, and yeah. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get underneath. I've just cleaned up the mating faces. I'm going to get underneath and attach this to the shaft and put the circlip on to secure it. So if I just get in here, it's a bit tight. So there you can see basically there's the shaft that this joins onto, and this part of the shaft here is what sits in that like little pilot bearing inside the decoupler. So hang on, this goes on here. Hang on, point the camera out. This goes on here like so, and there's a circlip. There's a little space there for the circlip, which I'll now fit off camera, obviously. Okay, and that's it fitted. Really simple so far. Like I say, I've cleaned up the mating face, degreased it all. That's in place now. Circlip's on, holding it in. So the next thing to do now is to refit the nose cone. Like I said, this piece here slides into that little spigot bearing, and the whole lot should fit. One point worth noting: there's some location dowels here and here that have to be. You have to make sure you take them off of the old nose cone if they come out with the nose cone, and obviously clean them up and get them ready. So anyway, now next time you see, hopefully it'll all be fitted. And there it is, all fitted up. Didn't take long at all, really. Nothing much to say there, really. Once you locate it on the on that spigot onto that little into that little pilot bearing, and the whole lot just slides together. The locating dowels, just push in and just torque them up. All I've done now is well, it's still easy to get out. Just put some little silicone bits up here so I can attach these up to the right when I can come to the right length when it's all up there. The only one pain in the arse is that the is the plug for the decoupler has got the wrong, what's it in there? So but it's not the end of the world. I'll just cut it off and crimp on some female spade ends, and it'll be done. So I'll do that in the morning. All right, so now it's just basically reversal of before, really. I'll put the gearbox back on and fill it with oil. I'll sort out the these vacuum tubings and whatever else, and hopefully happy days, it'll all be working. So I'll come back to that once it's all been done. Again, apologies as instructional videos go, this ain't very good because of the way I'm working here, but hopefully you get the idea of how easy it is to fit one of these, even if you're underneath the vehicle. Just a little bit of work, really. So anyway, I'll come back when hopefully it's all working. That's the installation done now. Then I'll just show you. I didn't show you routing all the pipe work and whatever else into here, because it's all pretty easy. All you've got to really do is make sure that you get the right tube on the right part of the actuator down the back there, so that when you pull it out, you engage the decoupler and four-wheel drive. It's simple, really. There are a lot of things on the internet that show this, you know, in terms of pictures or even excuse me, workshop manuals. So anyway, just to show you it works. So currently disengaged and in two-wheel drive mode. Pull that out and straight away we're back into four-wheel drive mode, and again back to the other way and two-wheel drive mode. So it's all working quite nicely. Well, I'll just switch off the engine and I'll get underneath and show you what it all looks like. And this is the finished installation. It's all fairly tight in there, all refilled with oil. There's not really much here to show you, really, other than the fact that it's in there. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is actually what I will do now is I'll show you. You know, I was talking about a gearbox leak that I have, and I suspected it may have been because of a stripped thread. I've actually found it, and I'd rather it had been a stripped thread, to be honest with you. I'm just going to use a torch and show you there. If you can just see that little weep there, there's a little weep. Take it away, the torch away, and you can actually see it. And that little weep there, and I've got a small crack just along there where it's coming out. So I need to do something about that. A little bit pissed off about it. This gearbox has had damage before as well. You can see someone's done a repair there with some what's that called, that liquid metal or whatever, I can't forget what it's called now. That's no problem there. There's no leak there, but I have a small crack on that flange, and it is just weeping enough there to be causing not a significant leak. I just I checked the oil. I put back in. I've got to be honest with you. I put back in what I took out because it's brand new oil. So I just filtered it and put it back in. And it was only down probably about a cup, if that, over the last, I don't know, 3-4 months, something like that. Not even a cup, probably half a cup. So yeah, I'm not losing a huge amount of oil, but that isn't something that I really wanted to see. Especially as the gearbox had been rebuilt around about 5 years ago, something like 4 or 5 years ago, at fairly significant cost. So you know, I don't know what I'm going to do about that. What I really want to do is stop the leak. I don't think anything's going to fall apart in any time soon or get any worse. It's just that is just letting a little weep of oil through. That yeah, you can just see it. Anyway, it's my problem to sort out. So right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go have a clean up, and then I'm going to take it out for a road test, and I'll come back with some final thoughts. Right, so I've just come back from a couple of test drives, and it's all working fine. No major leaks apart from that little thing I showed you earlier on with that little crack. But no, everything's running fine. Engages, disengages with no problems. Very pleased with it. Let's just jump up into the cab. Oh. Right. So that's it. It's engaged now. It's in 4-wheel drive. Disengage 2-wheel drive. Oh, you can play this game all day, can you? There you go. So I was thinking, the irony of the fact that I started off all this work and this playlist of videos was all about turning a 2-wheel drive vehicle into a 4-wheel drive, and I've just gone and spent a load of money and time, well, not a lot of time, but plenty of money, on buying a bit of kit that will turn it from 4-wheel drive back into 2-wheel drive. But yeah, a bit slightly ironic. But anyway, for me it's the versatility. I think the fact that there's a provision on. I think that VW were probably going to do it. I mean, the fact that the electrics are there in the wiring loom for it. There's a vacant space on there for a switch, and also the bulb to show when it's engaged. It's probably at some point in the Syncro project back in the 80s. Probably the accountant said no, it's too expensive, and they decided to drop it because everything is there for it. So I think probably VW, the intention was to make it complete with regards to having a switchable 4-wheel drive. Anyway, it really doesn't matter, it's fitted now. So yeah. One other thing I'm going to say as well is, which really surprised me, was how quickly that VC, my viscous coupling, went bad on me. It wasn't that long ago, probably about 5 months ago. I did the test that you see on you know, one of the ones where you go into a car park, stick it in G gear, put it in a tight circle, and turn around and just roll along on tick over. And if it don't conk out, if it doesn't make it stall, then all's well with a VC. I did that and it was fine, and it was never really tight. Now I use this fan every day, and I suppose if I think back, there were some telltale signs, the odd chirp from the front wheel when I was pulling out, or sometimes into a turn in. But a lot of my driving's done on, well, like gravel roads, roads with a lot of blown sand on, and whatever else, but also on tarmac and paved roads as well. So, you know, what surprised me was the fact that it went, I think, so quickly. I used to be able to get underneath there and turn that by hand. I can't no more. It is rock solid. I had to put a lever on it and lever it round. It's very, very, very tight. So yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, really. And it really only manifested itself severely after a couple of long drives, say 25 miles or so, and then pulling into car parking spaces and basically the whole thing locking up. It's a bit worrying, really. I hope I haven't damaged my gearbox, because I know it is possible to do that. And yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me, and it doesn't surprise me, that you can damage your gearbox, because the amount of forces that are at work when you wind your gear train up like that, or with a faulty viscous coupling, must be huge. So anyway, fingers crossed. Hopefully I haven't done any lasting damage to the gearbox, but yeah, only time will tell, I suppose. One thing I didn't do is I didn't show you my little tool that I made. It's nothing clever. It's just a piece of angle iron that I use because I had it knocking around, and basically all that is that helps you untorque or torque up the nuts on that drive shaft flange on the end of the nose cone. Basically that just attaches onto the by a couple of bolts. I didn't even tighten up with nuts. Basically I just threaded a couple of bolts through, leaving it on, and this turns either whichever way you're going, whether you're untorquing it or torquing it up, it will fetch up on one of the bash bars and allow you to either undo or torque up the that nut, which is something you mustn't forget to do when you put it all back together again, and it's 160 Newton meters. So that's that job done. I don't think I've missed anything else out. So yeah, I'll post this up, and feel free to comment either way. Yeah, no problem. Thanks.